Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. Hope you have been keeping well. So we have got today the first of our three-part series, the parent factor, and today we are looking at the importance of parents in sport. So I hope you guys have all been keeping well. Um, and what we're gonna look at today is that important role that parents play within sport. So first of all, are they important? Do we need them? And I think the answer is 100% yes. They are important. They're a pivotal part and a critical part of your team when you are looking at any part of your club, your group, however it might be. Um, So what I thought I'd look is I've been doing a bit of obviously doing a bit of research into this, and Gordon McLeod, a parent, he's the lead of parents in sport, and I'm sure of you guys that have been um, you guys have um, been on the Performance Pathway Symposium. You guys will be able to see. Sorry, guys, just got a bit of a technical issue. Perfect. I think we're fixed. You guys will be able to see that he does a whole thing on parents in sport. So he had a couple of things, a couple of key points that I thought were really important and really integral to it. And that, first of all, that is important that we align everyone. So the club, the coach, the parent, we're all in line. We all understand. We're all on the same page when we are delivering the same message. And also, he used an analogy, and I think this is fantastic. It is it's a Grand Prix analogy. So pretty much what he was saying was that your athlete is the driver of your Grand Prix car, and us as coaches, us as the club, the parents, we are all part of that external team, the mechanics, the guys that sit on that pit wall. We're all part of that same team, and I thought that was really fantastic. I thought that was a great way to kind of put it across. But if we look at it, they don't just organise the children. They don't just get them and book them actually into our class, and that's it. That's their end of their journey. They don't just pay for the sessions. They don't just just come along, pay for the session, and that's golden. They don't just take them to and from sessions, competitions, squads, matches, all those other kind of things. So they don't just take them from those events. They play a pivotal role. And I think the important thing is that they are part of our team, and we learn how we can integrate them and make sure they are a pivotal part of that. Because I think that all creates a healthy atmosphere, and that creates a really, really important culture. So the one thing that I think that they can really help us with is because, especially if we're picking up these athletes from very young age, and we're maybe you're picking up an athlete from another scenario or another setting, we need to they're going to know them even better than what you are to start off with. I know eventually, us as coaches, we may spend more time than their parents. They come from school immediately, they come into the gym, so on and so forth. But when you're in those very youth stages, those parents are going to know the ins and outs of their child. So therefore, if they know the ins and outs, we need to be able to absorb as much information from them as physically possible. If we're not able to absorb that information from them, then I don't know if we're really doing our job properly. So I've just seen we've got this is great, guys. We've got so many people. Ruth, hi, Rabin, Simone, Ruth, Rudy, brilliant, lovely to see you guys. Really, really happy to see you all. Fortunately, unlike the other week, we've got all the comments and stuff coming through, which is great. So back to that important part that they're playing. So they can give us that deep insight, which we're not necessarily going to be able to get in the first instance. So we can begin to really build that relationship, that athlete gymnast relationship, even faster by really tapping in to what those parents' knowledge is. But also, what we want to try and encourage is we want to encourage those parents to take a healthy involvement in their child's participation in sport. And then what that does is, if they take a healthy interest in to their sport or their activity, then the longevity that child will have within your sport, within your club, will be even longer. If they take an unhealthy approach to that, then it can actually have a negative effect on what the impact could be. They could, decide that they wanted to leave. They could, not want to participate anymore. So I think the key thing there is their healthy involvement in their child's participation. Now, what we're going to do is, rather than me diving too much into what healthy involvement looks like, you guys are going to have to come back for episode 3, because that's where we're going to dive into how they can support and what that kind of healthy, open relationship is going to look like. So I'm going to keep you hanging on that one. But I think the other thing is as well, which we need to consider for ourselves, is that also it keeps us accountable to make sure that we're providing a safe setting for these participants. So if we have these parents involved within our clubs and within our sports, then and we have that open relationship, that open dialogue with them, then we can understand what it is from their perspective, how things look. Maybe we're so focused as leaders and managers that we can't necessarily always see the other little things that go on in our gym, or we're not always there because we can't always be in the gym every single hour of every day that it's open. So that parent might be our eyes and ears as such. And then it can also then create a next step, and it can create another stage where we can begin to evaluate our own coaching philosophies, our own beliefs. And I think as we all become older and we become more experienced within coaching, I think that's something that we can really build upon, and I think that's really something that can be delivered. And then the other thing is as well is that if we've got a message, or our club has a type of culture that we want to really ensure is embedded with in what we do, then it's important that we actually get the parents on board with that, because their role was, when we can only deal with the athletes when they're in our presence. Through the social media and so on and so forth, maybe we can at other times, but theoretically all we can do is when they're with us and we're coaching them, that's when we can really influence what happens. So if we can then get the parents on board, then what that can do is that can then accelerate that in all walks of their ethos, so they can really accelerate and encourage their development in what you want from yourselves as a club. And then I'm sure, and this is something that we'll come on to in episode 2, and it's that positive encouragement. Now, I'm sure we've all had those discussions, we've all had those difficult conversations with parents where they're not necessarily having support in their child. Maybe they're pushing too much at home, getting them to do too much outside of the gym, and I'm sure we've all had to deal with those kind of things. But what we really want to do is we really want to nurture and encourage the parents to support their child in a positive way, because then that creates that healthy atmosphere that we were talking about earlier. And I want to get this next bit right, because I think it's quite important. So I'm just going to read. I've got another. We got child protection in sport unit as part of the NSPCC. They highlight kind of 3 key areas, and I couldn't agree more with these areas. Involving parents can increase sustained participation. We've already talked about that. The more you involve your parents in what's going on in the club, involved in their training, so they understand the direction that you're going, then the less pushback you're going to have, and therefore you're going to have a better partnership with that parent. And then also your gymnast or your participant or your athlete is going to have a more sustained participation, so they're going to be in your sport for longer. Be that helping hand, help model behavior. And so, by they can be there to help you as a coach understand. Maybe little Johnny's had a bad day today. Well, if you talk to the parents and you involve the parents in that conversation, they can go, oh well, maybe he's had a bad day at school, he's been bullied at school, or his cat's passed away, or do you know what I mean? Something like that can explain that. But you're by not involving the parents in that conversation, you're never going to know what that answer is. So the other thing is that also it can help create that positive culture. So it can help break down those barriers. So it's not so much of a you and I approach. It's more of a team environment, more of a grouped approach. So I think those three things are really important, and I think if we can get those through, then that's brilliant. And then again, another thing that we're going to come on to in episode 3 is just drop them off, bring them to sessions, which is so important, because without the parent doing that, we wouldn't have. But they can also then fulfill roles within your club. They might, you might have a chippy, or you might have an electrician or a plumber or something like that. So if you've got a problem at your club, you might be able to create a wider network of people from within your existing community that can help you. And some clubs, you might be able to utilize them to help fulfill other roles. You might be able to get them to help with your admin or your finances, or because they might be an accountant or they might be a HR person. But you don't know that if as soon as they drop them off they drop their children off at the door, that's it. That's the only communication that we have. And then the other thing is as a school, they can really help your fundraising. And really think about the parent teachers kind of association, where we can really get them involved, and then they can also raise the profile of your club. So they can be the ones that say, yeah, no, go to this club, because they're really good, they get you involved and they really explain what's going on and explain the journey. Don't go to that club because they shut you down at the door. You should just a drop off and pick up approach. So I think they are such an integral part of what we do as a sports clubs and sports organizations. So I think that's really, really what we're trying to drill home here is they're not these, they're not always these terrible human beings that sometimes they can be portrayed to be. Rabin, thanks very much for your feedback. He's saying that the holistic approach to the coach parent student relationship is so integral to the development of the dynamics of the relationship you build. And Rabin, I couldn't agree more. And I think we've definitely got very similar thoughts and approaches on that. And just referring back to that Grand Prix analogy, I think that is something that's really relatable to the wider people, and I think that's something really, really fantastic that we can kind of all get to grips with and get on board with. So that's it for episode 1, guys. I hope you've all enjoyed it. Had a few things that can help you understand why I think the parents are so important to our clubs. And don't forget, this is a 3-part series. So next week we've got episode 2, which is dealing with difficult conversation, dealing with difficult situations, and then in episode 3, we're then looking at how they can support us even further. How can they even be part of it? So really, really looking forward to. Thanks for everyone that's checked in, and hope you all have a great week. And I look forward to seeing you all soon. Cheers, guys. Bye for now.